This is the intro we did for the show, but we're not musical, as you may know. So we'll keep it just for a bit, as we do have words that kind of fit. If you can, make a better one, send it in, and that'll be fun, because we'll use it, get everyone laughing, because this one is embarrassing. TJ, I thought you could dance at this bit.
No.
TJ, are you dancing?
No, I'm not.
So come along and watch us code, make some stuff, and help you know that not much rhymes with draft. We'll make game for a laugh.
Yeah.
Hey! Way.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome back to Game for a Laugh, and we're on session 3 of Priority. So there we go. And we've been building this stacking game. So I've had to amend the code because we have had an onslaught of bugs in this game, and I'm left with just a singular one. But I'll go through what we've been doing. But firstly, welcome, hello, how are you? We'll wait for them to respond online. I can't hear them. I can't hear them. I'm just getting myself used to back when we return to normality, when I ask a question and people can actually respond rather than type. So what we've got.
Ben has joined us.
Yay! Hey Ben, are you all right? Anything that you enjoy lockdown snacks? We were talking before the show started. Anything that you like to eat during lockdown?
Brie and crackers is I got told during the transition.
Oh, very good. Brie and crackers. I go for the apricot in Wensleydale and crackers. It's like my kryptonite, man.
And Wednesday.
There we go. He's just checking it exists. See there, or are you just shocked? Right.
I'm just passing on notes.
Good. We've got all these blocks that are obstacles. If they are touched, if they're not touched, then we center the display on them. When they hit the bottom, we call them touched. We stop them. If they hit another one, we stop them and say that they've been touched. Now, if we press spacebar, I've added a flag. Now, flags, in the classic jargon way, TJ. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh.
It's my computer not prioritizing things. Go on, TJ. Your beautiful definition of flags.
Flags are like switches. They can be on or off, and you can set them to toggle, which will switch it to the opposite of what it is already on. So yeah, they're essentially a switch.
Fantastic. And so I've added an extra one called preview, which you can't see because I'm in the way. I've added an extra one called preview down here, and so and that's because we want to see when the next block is coming. And if you press spacebar and there's a previewed one, then destroy it. And it knows we're going to destroy that one because we've referenced it. So we're saying the ones that got preview on, destroy them. And then if we press spacebar, we want to we fire an event called clear, which I no longer have. That's get rid of that junk. Okay, we create the block that's on the line of your list. And so we've got a list of all the different blocks we want to create. We create the next one. We then delete that line. And then if we're not showing end on the list, then we create the next block, but we set it to half the size, just a teeny half the size. We set its movement to 1, which is staying still. We set the preview to on, so that it knows that it's the preview one. We set touch to on, so the computer doesn't follow it, and we set the position to the top part of the screen. So there's loads of things happening there, but all it's doing is shrinking it down, holding it still, moving it to the corner, not following it, telling it it's a preview, and doing all that. And that is what I had to sort out at the end of last week to tidy it up. And also, because lists are slightly annoying, you can't compare the words on a list. I've also said always set what the string of the... And strings, TJ?
Strings are words.
Yep, always set the word of the second line on the list to be its alterable value, which just means a value that can change, alterable string that can change, and that's what we compare to. So, really technically, but in 8 lines of code, then we've managed to create this stacking game. So if we run it, it works to a point. Okay, so this is my bug that I've got, TJ. I've got the dropper going back and forth. I press spacebar, and then we get the next block coming up. Good, and then drops down. Press spacebar, but I no longer have the next block coming up, and the next block's broken, and then it's working, and then it's broken. It's working. Now I've actually already fixed this bug, but I put it back in because it's such a bizarre one. When we're creating the preview, we set its position to being at the top part of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's crazy is that the top part of the screen doesn't always stay the top part of the screen because we're using layers where one moves and one never moves. The top part of the screen sometimes becomes halfway down the screen or things like that. So rather than setting the position, this is really boring, isn't it? This is why programmers get a boring rep, isn't it? Like, oh, we're making a game here. Let's just talk about numbers for ages. Unfortunately, guys, game making can be really boring at some points. We're just going to create it relative to this this next block icon, meaning that wherever it's showing next block on the screen, it's going to create it underneath. And so there we go. So hopefully that means that if we create it next block, next block, next block, and the next block thing works. TJ, we've got an odd effect that it doesn't follow the block that we've last dropped. It follows the first block. So if I keep on dropping blocks, it doesn't follow them. It follows the last block. It doesn't always follow the block that you expect to be dropped. Oh, look at that. Oh, that can't be right. How can that roll upwards?
What do you mean by follow it? Don't it just drop it exactly where the arrow is?
It drops it exactly, but what I mean is the screen doesn't follow it down. So I press spacebar now. That drops down a bit, and I press spacebar now, and you can't see the next one.
Yeah, it's waiting for it to reach the bottom, isn't it, before it allows you to follow the next block.
Yeah, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one more line of code that just says that when we press spacebar, I'm just going to add this in here, we are going to set all of the blocks to being touched. So I'm going to set the flag to on. Oh, it's all the way over here. What's it doing over there? Touched. Then theoretically...
It would fit the theme, only focusing on one at a time, because you prioritize a set thing like at one time, so it would...
There we go. I'm happy with that. Good, yeah, it agreed. And so it's only going to follow the block. It follows the latest block you drop, which I think works better. Right, fantastic. This circular thing is behaving in such an odd way. I'm not sure whether...
I'm quite impressed that you landed it right next to the square then without it falling.
I'm just changing its collision type here to circle because I think that it's not falling as a circle. So we've pretty much got the basis, a game engine here. What on earth is a game engine, TJ?
So it's the groundwork of the game you're going to make. So, for example, certain games require a certain game engine because it will work better. It will allow you to give the games the mechanics that you want. There are different types of games, so they require different engines.
Mechanics.
We're going to do this all day.
We've got engines and mechanics, TJ. It's sounding not like computer game making. Yeah. We're making a car at this point. Go on. So the engine is the world and the rules based for a certain game to work. And so like the Crysis game engine or the Unreal has a game engine type. There's someone's already made a type of game and you can add into it. But what's mechanics?
So like
of the game?
Click Team, it's a program which allows you to make games, and then there's Unreal, which is another engine which allows you to make games. So it's kind of the program that you actually build the game in, and then a mechanic is something in the game. For example, in this game, it has physics enabled. So a mechanic in this game is that the objects are physics objects.
Great, yeah, perfect. So yeah, the game mechanics is just the workings of the game, and the engine is all the workings together in one package. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so I am going to create a priority drop. So with our game, we have to land the priority block in the zone that's marked in yellow. And that zone hopefully will move up level by level so that we have to do it. So I'm just going to pop that up here, and I'm going to pop it on layer 2 because layer 2 is the layer that doesn't move. And so P drop, there we go. Sounds like a good rap album. And I'm just going to say new condition. Oh, now I'm in two minds.
I've just thought actually.
Yeah?
The whole topic of priorities works very well with games engines, because for some games they actually recreate a whole new engine for it. So that would be the priority. The first step of making the game is making the engine. They've done it with The Division within the past few years. They made a whole new engine, which they're going to continue to use for that series. So that became their priority. So it's quite a good example.
Yeah, very good. Now I'm mixing as sort of a priorities coming up of me being a dad at the moment. I have a choice of going in and intervening with the kids who are screaming at each other, or not. What's the priority here? Okay, I've got a good one. I love you all, children, even when I'm on my live stream. I think they got the message there. I think they worked out what was happening there. So there we go. So I've got a priority drop, which I realise I'm mixing the mechanics of my game, as you even spoke about it, because I'm saying that if you click on the priority drop, it will drop it. But if you use spacebar, it will send the next block. So I've now got a game that's keyboard and mouse, and it really doesn't need to be. So I probably should switch it back to keyboard for priority drop. So I'm just going to say press P, because, you know, it does make sense to click on a button, but we are using keyboard here. Oh, the kids are still screaming, but I still love them. So yeah. Well, let's make things a little bit more exciting, because we've got some honeycomb crisp here, and TJ will have been thinking of a possible question to ask.
I have been.
Oh. So yeah. So for people in the live stream, it's your chance to win some lovely chocolate.
Yes. So your question today, chat, is what I want you to name a similarity, so something that is shared in real life and in video games, which is a priority. So give me a priority which you can find in both real life and in a video game.
Very good. Oh, that's very.
Well, that would probably be the most elaborate question I will ask you guys.
Okay,
ever.
So for an example of if I was encouraging kids to eat vegetables and saw that as a priority, I might say Mario has to eat a mushroom in order to grow big and strong. And so it's a priority on Mario to get the mushroom to get big and strong. But obviously that's a rubbish answer. But yeah, so
I thought actually, yeah,
oh, it's actually
one I think of. Quite good.
Yeah, good. So I've got this little rule here, and it's this condition. It says when we press P and there's a P drop logo, we can then create the priority, and then we can destroy the block. And in destroying the block, it means that rule can only run once. So if we run the application, and I just and I press P. Yeah.
Could I repeat the question, please? I can. So I want you guys to find a similarity in real life and in video games, which you can class as a priority. So you're looking for a priority, which is both in games and in real life.
Can I just say that's a very polite viewer there, using the word please.
Yes.
So yeah, very good. That's nice. Prioritizing over speed.
I will write in chat as well, just in case anyone is coming in late.
Right. You know how you don't know how my mind works, TJ, unfortunately, and that's part of the problems of my life, that no one understands me, TJ. But do you know what I'm making here, TJ? Do you know what I'm drawing?
Yes.
Can you see it?
A priority.
Yeah! Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
I feel like we're playing catchphrase.
Yeah, it's good. I'm making a priority.
I love that show.
So I'm going to do that and priority. And there's some lovely... so we've got screams from my kids in the background of my video, but from you we've got some lovely classical music occasionally coming out, which is very nice. Is that Animal Crossing?
Yes, the Animal Crossing.
Beautiful.
I wondered what it was for a second.
Yeah, it's just you playing some lovely music. Okay, so let me just clear up that.
Soothing sounds.
There we go. And if I press the P for the priority drop, there we go. There's it. Hey. Oh, do you know what? I created it at completely the wrong point. I created it from the follower rather than the dropper thing. So we've got a black box that moves left and right of the screen, and that stays at the top, and then the other thing travels down the screen. So let's Let's do this. So I'm going to drop a block, and then I'm going to drop my priority. There we go. Oh, P. I was pressing T for priority. Maybe it should be T.
I'm trying to think of a way to explain this question, because one of the answers come through, and I can see the correlation completely.
Okay.
But so think of it this way.
What thing do you have to do in a game that you have to do in real life, maybe?
Yeah, so you're naming more of a mechanic rather than so the answer that's come up is football and FIFA 20. So they're two things which are just you can do both in a game and in real life, but that's not the priority. So the priority in that situation would
win
be
the match.
Trying to score a goal, because that's how you win the match. So
yeah.
That would be your priority in real life and the game. So aiming for a goal. So that would be a good one. But there are other things as well which you do in games, which you try and do in real life. Like, oh no, that would just be giving an answer. That would be giving it. So
yeah. So just think about.
I have a really good example, but it literally gives an answer.
You just want to win more chocolate, TJ. That's it. I imagine yours hasn't arrived yet, though. It got posted late in the week.
But I will. Be vigilant on Letterboxd.
I'm sure we'll find out that the chocolate never has been delivered, and we'll just have loads of overweight postmen going around. If your postman or post person seems slightly overweight, maybe question whether your chocolate hasn't been delivered because of interference with the package. Okay.
Yeah.
So this list that we've got up on screen here, where we create stuff, I'm not sure if I can zoom in. There we go. This list shows us the order of the blocks that will arrive on our level, and then it will allow us, hopefully, to make further levels on there as well. And what I want to do is I want a nice easy level. So I think maybe in level 1 I might just have lots of, a couple of square blocks, but I just want to try doing, if I give 2 block 1s, a block 4, which is the long one down here, so 2 block 1s, block 4, another 2 block 1s and a block 4, and that's it. I want to see whether that allows you to create something that's easy to do. So drop one, drop another, drop another. Go on, let's watch this fall and see if it manages to do what I hope it would do. Nope, it completely falls apart. They come down at such a force that they completely mess up. So to change the kind of impact that they give, we've got something called density. And density here, how much of an object is packed into itself. So if you had a beach ball, no, maybe not beach ball, maybe a football and a bowling ball, they might be the same size, the same volume, but because one of them's filled with air and the other one's filled with whatever bowling balls are filled with, but something heavy, something dense, the air is less dense than the bowling ball, meaning that if you kick a bowling ball, the amount of force you put into it won't make it move much and will make your toes break. Whereas if
I was going to say,
if you don't do that. Yeah, don't kick that. So yes, but I want to see if in the world I can change. Yeah, here we go. Oh no, I don't think I can change an overall density thing. I could change my gravity in the whole world, and that would mean things fall slower. But I think I'm going to have to hand change these densities.
Yeah, density is it's on the properties of the individual objects.
Yeah, and because I've got loads of blocks that are cloned off each other.
Oh, we've got a good answer.
Yes.
So making money.
Oh, making
is both
money
in games and also in real life. So yeah. that is something you can, because in games, even if it's just like a collectible and you're trying to get more points, or if it is actually making money in the game, that is a good answer.
It's a good answer, but it's slightly it's a slightly sad answer, isn't it? When you do prioritize making money.
Yeah, there is one answer I'm holding out for, which I'm really hoping someone gets.
Did you see what the impact now? There's such a lot less bounce.
It moved.
A lot less bounce. It's because they were bouncing completely off each other, whereas now, there we go. And then I can drop my priority and hopefully get it in the... Here we go, T. Yay!
Nice.
So, now we just need a rule for winning then. So, we want to check that nothing is moving. So, we're going to do that. We'll do that with a flag as well. So, we've got this got this object. This is a bit of a slacker way of doing it, but anyway, it works. It's called the dropper, and the dropper always exists in the game. So we'll create a flag in there, and we'll call it anything moving, which is also a poor name. Maybe I should just, but anything moving's okay. And I'm just going to visually represent it by drawing something, because flags, unless you're using the debugger, you can't see them. They are invisible. Oh, that's going to be grey on grey. It's going to be awful. Let's do white. I'm going to draw the universal symbol for wiggliness, which is a circle with some lines around it. There we go. I'm sure that's universally recognised everywhere as being a wiggle. There we go. Oh, it looks horrible, but there we go. That can be the wiggle icon. And basic rules are going to say that if the dropper, if its flag is on, anything moving, get that off. If it's on, then I want this to be visible. Oh, we can't see TJ. Oh, TJ's so small. TJ.
I have shrunk. I didn't have the Mario mushroom.
You didn't. You had some other kind
I took the wrong one.
Yep. And let that be a lesson. Don't just eat mushrooms, kids. They can be dangerous. So
Yes.
Visibility, make it reappear. Visibility, make it invisible. Okay, so we've got a visual representation now of a flag, of something being on and off, and we'll just name it something useful, like moving. And then I'm going to say that we always set this flag, the dropper, ultimate values, we set it to be, oh, not the flag, not the ultimate values, we always set the droppers flag, not ultimate value, I'll get it right, always set the flag to being on. We're always going to assume, we're going to always assume it's not moving. Sorry. Always going to assume things aren't moving, and then we'll check. So flags, set off, anything moving. Always set it to off, but then we're going to run a loop. So we'll count each object. Sorry, I'm in the way now, sorry. Let me move it. We need to sort ourselves out here. Always, let's count for each object, and we're going to run a loop. So moving. So a loop, TJ.
Loop, it's basically if something has a loop, when it reaches the end of where it would normally end, it will go back around, so it never stops. It just continuously plays, like music does it for backgrounds. So once it gets to the end of the song, it will start out back at the beginning.
Fantastic. And this loop will go through every single object individually that are in the category, and the category is obstacles. So all the blocks that we've got, it's going to check them one by one by one by one by one. And if I'm going to insert, if any of those, their movement compared to their speed, if it's greater than 0, then we can assume if it's going faster than 0, they are moving. And so that point we can turn the flag back to being on. So it's right at the bottom here. So I'm sorry you can't see it, but flag sets on, anything moving. Now a new condition. If the T is collision overlapping another object, if it's overlapping the height zone, that's where we want it to be. And if nothing is moving, so the flags is off, then I'll just get it to end the game, but end of the chessboard, end the application, just at the bottom there. Then it would go to the next level. So we can see, maybe play a fanfare or something like that. So we can now see that there's these three things working together. There's this always set the flag to moving to off. Now that always doesn't run always, it runs every time it hits line number 8. So the code will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and run this every time. Not all the time, but every time it gets to number 8. So it gets to number 8. It sets moving to off. It then goes, I need to do a loop for moving. So then it jumps to line 13, because that's where moving is, and it checks for each one. If the speed is bigger, then it sets moving to on. Once it's finished that, it will go back to 9, 10, 11, 12. It will skip out 13 because it's not on the loop and go to 14. So we will only get to line 14 with moving off if none of the blocks are moving, which is what we want to check. Let's see if that works. So if we run our application, see if we work. Okay, I drop a block. So moving, there's the icon there for something moving. Bounce, and it stops. Great, perfect. Moving, drop that block, so... Okay, here's the moment of truth. Oh, it stopped following. Stopped following them. I'll have to have a look at that. And do the priority drop. Still thinks things are moving. Ah, we have a slight issue. There's a block that's moving. If you count, I should have 4 purple blocks and 2 blue blocks. The other ones are still moving. They're still moving because they've fallen off the screen and then they're traveling forever. So I'm just going to add a final rule to say a new condition that don't just destroy the blocks.
On the screen we're covering the events.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
We were. Oh, did I go through? So, yeah. So going through those, line 8 is what I was talking about. The always rule jumps to line 13 and then goes back to the other lines to get to line 14. Sorry about that. Thank you, teacher. We weren't prioritizing the viewers over the code. So what we want to do is a new condition that if any of these position, if their Y position, that's the up-down position, if it's greater than the frame's height, they're obviously off screen. They're obviously falling through space and we will destroy them. So there we go. So now we run the application. Let's have a look here. So block, block, block. Now this block I need to probably angle over there. Block. Let's have a look. Ooh, yep. Oh, stops moving. Right. And then let's drop our priority block. Oh, yeah, and then it ended the game. Now you might have noticed that there was a block moving, but it didn't count, and that's because the speed of the block was 0, but the rotation of the block wasn't 0. So there's 2 types of speed. There's a speed of direction and the speed of angle. So I'm going to add that line in to say that things have got to stop rotating. So I'm going to copy and paste this. Control C, Control V, held together to copy. Control C to paste. Control V, and we're just going to replace if it's movement, if it's we don't have an option here. So we don't actually have an option for angular movement in this condition. So we're just going to say always set the blocks, always set, we're going to use a value of them, always set, and we'll use value, we can use value A because I'm not sure we've used it before, and it's good, or maybe we use S because it's S for speed. We'll use value S and we'll just say set that to be the movement, the physics, the angular velocity. Okay, so that's a movement that has an angular turning. So angular velocity. Okay, so we're always setting that. And so now we can say if value S, which is the angular velocity compared to one of the angles, compared to the ultra values, not speaking correctly, if it is greater than 0, then also.
Chat thinks that the game is awesome.
Ah, good. Well, teacher's got some beautiful music we're going to add in just before the end. So I drop the block.
Speaking of chat, this is your 2-minute reminder for if you do have an answer you've not yet put in the chat, do drop it in now so we can pick a winner.
Oh, look at that. Do you see that? Do you see that movement keeps on flashing on and off, TJ? Can you see?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know why? Because I think if we're to load the debugger, which I've closed, but if we were to load the debugger, I think that we're getting an angular velocity of like tinily, like quarter of a pixel wiggling because things aren't perfectly balanced. So I'm going to just up the ante here and say that if it's greater than 1, so it has to be, all of this tiny little movement will be ignored. So all the 0.001 angular velocities will be ignored.
That's much sturdier.
Yeah, so let's have
nice.
a look here. Right, okay. So they're dropped down, and let me drop down the T. Yay!
Nice.
Happy. Good. Right, good. And then we can build some extra levels. So let's add some music into here, and we will use the loops. So new condition. We want it at the beginning of the game. Now, we could say timer is equal to 000, but there's an event that runs before absolutely anything else, and that's the start of frame event. So that runs even before the timer events. This is, if you put it anywhere in your code, it will run this, even if it's not at the top, even if it's not in line number 1. When it starts the game, it looks for this and will run this. And if we had 2 of them, it would run them in order that they are. And so samples, we're going to play and loop a sample, and this is us trusting in Google Drive actually updating itself. So
it says it's there on my end.
Glitter blast, here we go.
There we go.
Now we get an interesting thing. It says repeat count, so we could repeat it once, which plays once, not really repeat, twice, 3 times. But if we choose 0, it's like a special bug in the code. 0 will loop continuously, because if you're counting and you're saying every time you finish the music, add 1 to how many times you've looped, and then if that equals the amount of times you should loop, stop looping. So if we said twice, 2, then you play it once and it goes, oh, count, we played it once. Played it the second time, we played it 2 times. Oh, 2 equals 2, we'll close it. But it will never equal 0 counts of loops. So if we set it to 0, it should do it forever. So we will test and see if we have beautiful music. Oh, this is so much calmer than Where's Bear?
Yes, that was quite tense.
P! It's the priority! Boom. Okay, we'll add in multiple levels, upload it to iGamers.io, and you can enjoy that. TJ, have you chosen a winner for some prioritizing game and life together?
I have, yes. Ben in chat, I have chosen as the winner. So
fantastic.
I believe we already have your address, so you don't need to send it to us.
Great. Fantastic. Okay, well, we will thank you very much. TJ, make up something clever to say.
Make up something clever. Ooh. Make sure you're prioritising the right things. Making money always does sound fun and stuff in games and in real life, but there are more important things, so make sure you prioritise the correct ones.
Wonderful. Bye! This is the intro we did for the show, but we're not musical, as you may know. So we'll keep it just for a bit, as we do have words that kind of fit. If you can, make a better one, send it in, and that'll be fun, because we'll use it, get everyone laughing, because this one is embarrassing. TJ, I thought you could dance at this bit.
No.
TJ, are you dancing?
No, I'm not.
So come along and watch us code, make some stuff, and help you know that not much rhymes with draft will make game for a laugh.